You been up to, my brother Damon?
Uh, Basically, just preparing for the 18th. The 18th, I will be speaking at the Legal Defense Fund annual.
The NAACP Legal Defense Fund?
Yes,
Okay.
I
That's what's
call it
up.
the Legal Defense Fund because the reality is they're two separate entities.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I believe they're doing more work than the NAACP. And they're doing more work with grassroots organizations than the NAACP. I really, I'm excited because it's the second time
Well, hold on. Let's give DK a round of applause first, because that's quite an honor.
Yeah, it is. I'm very honored that they have requested me a second time to come before the conference. The conference is they have a lawyers conference where they bring lawyers from throughout the country who work on social justice issues. And me being a regular old correction officer, able to stand before lawyers from all over the country and discuss social justice issues and legal issues and from a black law enforcement perspective and what we see the need for change from being within the system and really talking to lawyers about that. I think that's an honor, and I will be wearing the new dashiki of the 2016 and 2017, and that is the Kaepernick #7 San Francisco football jersey. I will be wearing that on the 18th, because just to represent. As the New York representative of Black Law Enforcement of America, we have also announced our support for the brother and understanding how hard it is to speak truth to power, even in his capacity, but also using his capacity as a football player, and someone that can draw the media's attention to the issues. Much respect to the brother, because not everybody is capable of doing it, or not everybody is willing to do it because they're afraid to lose endorsements, and they're afraid to lose their job. But he has chosen to use his capacity as a professional athlete to bring awareness to the plights of black people in this justice system, to bring awareness of these two, as far as I'm concerned, these two candidates that have, I don't know how they got in their position to run for president, both of them, Hillary and Donald Trump, and we are stuck with the lesser of two evils. So, when you vote for the devil, whether his name is Beelzebub or Satan, you're still going to catch hell. Let's not have any misconceptions when our choice is the lesser of two evils. We're still going to catch hell no matter which one is in office. And I think he eloquently explained the situation between Hillary and Trump. So we support, as black law enforcement professionals. I know the San Francisco or the Bay Area, whatever they want to call themselves over there, said that they were going to boycott, and the chief said that they're not boycotting nothing. They're going to be working and protecting and serving. Who the hell?
The police was going to boycott?
Yeah, well, that's what the police union, but the chief said that's BS. He has the right to his First Amendment of speech. He has the right to say what he wants to say, and their job is to protect and serve, and they're going to continue to protect and serve no matter what the union president says.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We don't get enough of that. I ain't hear enough of that. You had what was it, Milwaukee? You had the cops walking out on the WNBA game, the Milwaukee or Minnesota Lynx, or whatever.
If they,
you know what I'm saying? Because they had Black Lives Matter
right.
T-shirts on during the warm-up or something, and they just walked out.
And if they were getting paid, they all should have got suspended. See, because their job is to protect and serve. When we start getting into this whole thing about feelings. You know, you're paid by the taxpayers. Let's not get it twisted. And that's what a lot of police officers forget. They're paid by the taxpayers. And if they feel the need that they don't want to protect and serve, then go to another goddamn community. You know, we ain't got to pay. We don't have to pay for your taxes, your salaries and your benefits, because that's what we're paying for. You forget that. But then you move into other communities and then you take our money and pay their taxes and take care of their children and invest in their children, but you don't want to invest in our children, you don't want to be stakeholders in our community, then get the hell up out of our community. See, that's the attitude we got to have, and that's not being anti-cop. You work for us. See, and that's what people need to understand. That's what community policing was about. It was the community taking in charge in how their communities police, because they pay the taxes for these cops to have a job. So if you don't like patrolling black neighborhoods, then don't belong to the police department that patrols a black neighborhood. Go into a white neighborhood. It's simple as that. We don't want you there anyway if you don't want to patrol us. We don't want you there anyway if you don't think black lives don't matter, because you're patrolling our black children and our black community, our black homes. Absolutely. So if you don't think black lives don't matter, don't patrol our community. It's just simple as that.
That's no doubt. I want to echo on that. I want to comment on that before. I just want to give a couple of shout to Cynthia Turnquest Jones, Jose Eduardo Vasquez. Who else is on the check-in? Stephanie Benton, Michael Hannon, Sandy B. She said it's a beautiful Labor Day. Thanks for always showing up on the air for us. Mike Bullock said on it. I'm not sure what he's on, but we appreciate it. No, seriously. But now what I wanted to address, so I don't know if I sent Damon a link, and I don't know if he read it. So Blue Lives Matter came after us, and basically they credit us for the story, and they went into it and everything, and they basically said it was hypocrisy that I would say that Omar's statement, the Mount Vernon fireman statement about saluting the officers, that the gunmen who shot those officers in Dallas, that it was hypocrisy for me to say that the white officers' comments about Black Lives Matter gets equal mention in the press. What I was saying is, if you're going to cover every major press, ABC, CBS, Low HUD, the Journal News, and several others, and I called them out in the story, they all rushed to write the story on Omar. But when we did the story, when this went down, one cop made his first comments in July, and then after Black Lives Rally on August 8th, made comments on August 7th, made comments on the 8th and 9th. And when I wrote the story last week, nobody had covered it. I'm not sure what the date with the Mount Vernon cop who put BLM, burglary, larceny, and murder.
It was just 2 weeks ago.
Okay, his was 2 weeks ago. But the New Rochelle officer in July 18th or July 20th or something like that, he wrote, if you're gonna be anti-cop all the way. When your life is in disarray and you in the worst 10 minutes of your life, don't call us. Figure it out for yourself, or better yet, call Sean King and Black Lives Matter and see if they'll help you. So, and then that was in July, and then he went on again complaining after a peaceful Black Lives rally in New Rochelle that they had to protect the people that protested against them. And I was like, yo, one of the things I called out in the article that was ironic, Black Lives Matter protests officers who take the life of unarmed black men. That's what they're protesting. So, but this cop said, protesting us. So you put yourself in the category of the officers that's taking lives, because they weren't protesting all officers. They were protesting the officers getting away with killing unarmed black people and nothing happening to them. That's what they're protesting. Be clear. That does not make them anti-police. My statement about bringing out these white cops' racist remarks against Black Lives Matter does not make me anti-police. I'm tired of people, every group of people, if you say anything defending black people, you got to be anti-something. Back when me and Damon had a comment, I interviewed Khalid Muhammad, I got a chance to know him before he got killed. We talked about that. He made some comments that were pro-black, but was slated to be anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you defend black, groups of people say you're anti-something else. You can defend the Jewish faith, your Jewish way of life, and you're not anti-anything. You can defend everything else and not anti-anything. But if you're pro-black, you have to be anti-something. And that is not a new attitude. That is an attitude that has been in this country for years. And that's not true. We've stated several times, Damon's wife is a police officer. So he's not anti-police. We are not anti-police.
Let me explain something. Nobody is anti-police.
No, there's some people that are.
No.
Nobody in this room.
No. Listen. Nobody. If you are a taxpayer, right, and even if you're a renter, your taxes are paid to the owner, so the owner is allowed to pay taxes. You buy food and you buy whatever in your community, you still pay taxes on that food, so you're a taxpayer, regardless of the amount of how ignorant some people say, well, a renter is not a taxpayer. A renter is a taxpayer. So let's get that clear. And, you can even ask the Mount Vernon mayor. He's a renter, so he's also a taxpayer. So the whole thing is this: if you question the way your community is policed, that's not being anti.
That's a God-given right.
Right. That's not being anti-police. We have
being pro-democratic. That's what that's
right.
being.
But see, we have allowed the media, and we have allowed some police management and some union officials to twist.
Yeah, Pat Lynch, we talking about you.
To twist the narrative that if you're critical on how the policies and procedures of your police department is more negative than positive, you become anti-police. There's no such thing as being anti-police, because police work at the will of the community. If anybody that's a police officer or in law enforcement that's listening to what I'm saying, then read Robert Peel's 9 Principles of Policing. Read Robert Peel's 9 Principles of Policing. See, I'm going to throw it right back at you, because that's what quote unquote the scholars of policing say, that they base their American policing on Robert Peel's theory of policing, and Robert Peel have the 9 Principles of Policing. And police officers work at the will of the citizens that they serve. That's Robert Peel. So if the citizenry that you have sworn to protect and serve feel that you're not actually policing up to their standards, then it's their right, according to Peel. According to Robert Peel. Then what's their next argument? Oh, well, the black community is high in crime and high in this and high in murder rates and high in all this. Well, what else does Robert Peel say? Robert Peel says that the police structure or the policing methods that's in the community, if it's high crime, then something's wrong with the police department, not the citizenry, if they can't solve it. So read Robert Peel's 9 Principles of Policing. And if that's the case, then every police department, every police commissioner, every police union person should denounce Robert Peel. Every law professor on policing strategies and policies should denounce Robert Peel. Don't claim him when it fits your crazy theory of policing in the black community, because see, I'm going to throw it back at you. And I think everybody should read Robert Peel's 9 Principles of Policing, and then you see a lot of these police union presidents and these police commissioners that want to claim them, and these law professors on policing are hypocrites when it comes to Robert Peel. So nobody's anti-police, because if you read Robert Peel, then he today, living today, he would be anti-police too. And that's a fact.
That's what's up.
I do want to add that the idea that somehow or the other criticism of the police is illegitimate. In fact, totally distorts the traditional relationship between the civilian population and both domestic law enforcement and military. In a democratic society, it is taken that the foundation stone is that civilians exercise rule over both our military and our police forces. And for us to merely accede to the police responsibility for setting their own policy is to take us down the road to serfdom, as one famous liberal scholar might have put it, or really is consistent with a first move towards fascism. Police must remain under the control of civilian authorities if our democratic traditions are to remain vibrant, and for police officers to insist anything less is to in fact violate the very democratic traditions that they purport to uphold. And in that sense, it's a criticism that we should, rightly see as illegitimate, and fundamental misunderstanding of what what our democratic traditions really require of us. That's number one. Number two, I think it's important for us to realize that when you do not have civilian control over police forces that continue to run roughshod over the civil liberties of a population, and indeed not only just to deny them freedom but to deny them life itself, that sets in motion a dysfunctional process whereby police are no longer, the institutions of police are no longer in fact preserving order, but they're creating disorder. And across American history, at least since the 1960s forward, as a matter of fact, from the Harlem Race Riot of 1943, it's out of control police officers who in fact are undertaking actions that eventually precipitate civil unrest. And a lot of disorder can lead to destruction of property, if not loss of life. And so we have to find a way for police officers to exercise more restraint and more respect when policing our communities. Is absolutely unacceptable that someone should leave the house in the day and be fearful of the police. And I'm going to tell you, my son lived out in Jersey. He just went off to college, but when he moved there, man, it's a mostly white community. And when he moved there, me and him, I had spent the night, and me and him went to the track in the morning.
Right,
and as I got on the track, I realized I didn't have my ID on me. And I was apprehensive about, going out and running and exercising. Because I'm like, if these women see me, they're going to say like, yo, you don't belong here. Where's your ID? And that could have set in motion, a confrontation that could have led to me being arrested or something more serious, real bodily harm. And those are the real fears that people have. So many people in the black community, brown communities across the United States have whenever they exit their houses in the morning. And that's not something that the majority of white folks, so far as I know, that fear is not something that they feel on a regular basis, and they shouldn't, and neither should we.
Absolutely. Thank you. Very thought-provoking. Intellectual conversations with Dr. Bob
Baskerville.
Yeah.